Hi guys, welcome finally to my next video. I'm sorry it's taken so long. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you probably know why it's taken me so long, because I had all my valuable technology stolen on my last night in San Fran. I will go into that in more detail in this video later on. This video will be about life lessons that I learnt during my month away traveling. I went to 4 different countries by myself. As part of this competition that I had won with Randstad. For those of you who are friends with me on Facebook, or for those of you who followed me on Instagram when I was entering the competition, you'd probably know it was a Shaping Young Futures competition run by a recruitment company called Randstad. And you can check out my entry video. It's one of the older videos. If you just scroll down, you'll see what it was all about. But yeah, I won this competition and I got to meet a lot of amazing people. I learned a lot about myself, and I guess the main focus of the trip was to learn about careers and my own career path. So definitely like one of the main things I learned over there was a lot to do with finding myself in terms of a career and figuring out what I really wanted to do in my life. But alongside that, there are a lot of personal things that happened that really challenged me as a person, challenged my character and my strength. And yeah, I came out of it just learning a lot about myself and a lot about life. And I just thought I'd share it with you because, yeah, it's a lot of things that you can take away yourself and apply to your own life, really. I feel like travel is a great way to pretty much force yourself to learn things that you would otherwise take forever to learn if you just stayed in the same place at home, surrounded by familiar comforts. Travel is just something that really takes you out of all of that and just plonks you into real life and pretty much says, all right, it's up to you now. So one of the first things I learned while going overseas, because this was the first time I'd been overseas for so long and by myself. Like other times I would either be with friends or with people or with a group of people. Like it was just never just me by myself in a place I've never been, figuring everything out for myself. So I really learned about being alone and not running away from that feeling, because here at home, if I feel alone, like there's so many different options I can take to make that feeling go away. I can talk to my friends, I can hang out with my friends, talk to my family. I'm not really forced to just sit there and endure it. Whereas when I was overseas, being alone was a big theme throughout the whole trip, but it was also something I became comfortable with. Because once you force yourself to really deal with something that makes you uncomfortable, you realize the main roots of the problem, which isn't really the fact that you're being alone. It's about all these other insecurities that are inside you that have come from, you know, lots of things, whether it's from your childhood or recent trauma or whatever. Like it's just, you really learn to deal with it properly. And I feel like that's actually really healthy, because once you deal with it properly head on, it no longer becomes a problem. So yeah, I learned to rely on myself. I learned to navigate cities by myself, which isn't something I've done before. Like I've always had a friend or a family member or someone to rely on to like go explore a city with, but this time it was just me and a map, and sometimes not even a map. Sometimes I just had to rely on asking people for directions, and it was really amazing. I just saw how strong I really was, and that I was capable of doing things by myself and not getting lost and frightened, or, you know, having all those fears come up inside me of something bad happening to me. No, like if I keep a good head on my shoulders and I'm aware of everything that's going around me, if you just use your head a bit, you'll be fine. And yeah, that was a big turning point for me. I know for most people, like that's really nothing, but for someone who suffers from anxiety, who's had past traumas that have caused them to be, you know, scared of being out in the world, like this was a big thing for me. Being alone also helped me cherish the time that I had alone. Like I actually really liked hanging out by myself. Just, you know, getting to know myself, like really how I am as a person, how I deal with things when I don't have other people around me to help. I mean, that really set off a whole new path of growth for me, really. You know, and cherishing time alone, that was really further enhanced when I had my breakup, because I was initially in the UK, mostly in London, and then from London I went to Amsterdam. And in Amsterdam is when I broke up with my partner at the time. We had been together for quite a long time, almost 5 years I think now. Yeah, and that was hard for me, and no doubt it's hard for my partner as well. Like I pretty much broke up with him in a very like horrible way, which I shouldn't have done, but I think I was at the breaking point where I was dealing with my own mental health issues, I was dealing with family issues going on at home, I was dealing with being alone and the stress of like figuring out where I was and what I was doing, and I think it all just sort of built up, and I was just thought, nope, I can't worry about another person, this has to end, I need to focus on myself. And I did it, but it was in a very horrible way. I should have done it in person, but I didn't do that. Cherishing time alone became even more important after that, because you don't have that person that you used to rely on, even if they were a continent away. Like, you could always just call them and have their support. Now that I had cut that off out of my life as well, I was truly alone, and I really just took advantage of that. I took time out to just care for myself, care about myself, learn about myself. And at times, even if I didn't really want to, like, obviously I had no other choice, and it became something that was really important to me. So that first part of the trip was really learning about myself and what I really wanted out of life, and what I wanted out of myself, and what I wanted to become. And those sort of questions are really important to ask, and it's even better to force yourself to answer them when you're literally on the base level, where you have cut off ties with everyone and you're literally, well, physically alone at least, with no way to be able to talk to those people. You just solely have yourself. I guess the next lesson was forcing myself to make new friends, which was the most beneficial thing I'd ever done, like while I was overseas, and I met some really amazing people that I still keep in contact with even now once I've come home. I mean, I networked a bit online, like on Facebook groups and stuff, to see if there were people that were interested in meeting with me and showing me around the city. You always have to be careful with these sort of things, because I also did get quite creepy people wanting to meet up with me, but I also got like really genuine, lovely people who actually just wanted to hang out and show me awesome places to eat vegan food and show me the sights of the city. Like in London, I met two really amazing people. They took time out of the day or even like the weekend to go take me around town. And in London, I saw so many great sights. I took so many great photos and videos, and like they're all gone now because they were still on my camera when the camera was stolen, so I'm sorry guys. Yeah, it was just amazing, an amazing weekend I spent there, especially with Ruby, the lovely blogger that I met. And you should follow her on Instagram, by the way. She does a lot of great vegan food. Yeah, and I just had a great time just getting to know London. In Amsterdam, it's the same story. I met two amazing vegan girls, and they were just so intelligent and just so kind and lovely, and took the time and effort to show me like really nice places to see and great places to eat food. And it was just a really great day just hanging out with them. I follow both of them on YouTube now as well, and friends with them on Facebook, and it's really just great to just network this way and meet such beautiful people. Even in Singapore, sorry, I forgot to mention I was in Singapore before London. Singapore was amazing as well. Like, I spent a lot of time sightseeing by myself, and that was great because again, that challenged me to just spend time with myself and be okay being by myself. When I was just visiting the Randstad head office there, I just met so many lovely people who just took time out of their own free time, you know, after work on the weekend, to actually come and see me and take me out to dinner and show me the sights, and like even buy my family some gifts to take home. Like, they were just so amazing and so generous and just so beautiful. And you know, I just didn't expect to meet such lovely people just by myself. It seems like when you're traveling and you're in that mindset where you're open to new experiences, like all these lovely people just sort of end up coming to you anyway. And from there, I guess the third lesson I learned was to appreciate what you have, because obviously I was already very lucky to have even won this trip and have this opportunity to see all these countries and experience these cultures and, you know, meet people that not many people would have the advantage of meeting, you know, CEOs and managers of big companies and entrepreneurs and like just truly talented people in very exceptional positions. You know, I was already so thankful for that. And on top of that, they were just daily reminders that, you know, I am pretty lucky. And I have to appreciate what I've been given through this life, and also to show some humility and kindness towards those who don't. I mean, especially in London, there were quite a lot of homeless people, and like my heart broke every time I saw someone who desperately needed help. And I tried as much as I could to give all the change that I had, all the, you know, the extra cash that I thought in my head, you know, I can do without these extra £5 or this extra £10. What is it to me really that, like, I can even go without a meal for a day, whereas this person probably hasn't had something to eat for a week. And it was just truly heartbreaking. And I know there are people out there who are like against doing it because they think there's a better way to help the homeless rather than just giving them money when they beg. And I know there's always like pros and cons to it, but just at the time I just went with my gut feeling and I just thought, you know, I have to help this person in any way possible. And I even sat down with one particular homeless man in London, and he was so honest with me, and he just told me the circumstances in which how he got to where he was, and it was really heartbreaking. And it reminded me that this could happen to anyone. It could happen to me, it could happen to the CEO like down the road in his or her office. It's not like someone chose to be in that position. And yeah, all he really wanted was just a meal and a clean place to sleep for the night. So I did the best I could. I bought him some food and gave him some money so he could stay at the homeless shelter for the night. Yeah, and it was just really humbling to have to talk to him and hear his story. And I know there are so many more people out there with the similar stories who are struggling, and I just wish I could help all of them. But you know, that's when people who are privileged enough to not even have to deal with those sort of problems in their day-to-day life, like, really have to appreciate what you have. And like, a lot of my superficial needs and wants at the time just went away when I met people like that, when I saw people like that, because I thought, why on earth would I be worrying about why I can't get the latest clothing or like the latest phone or whatever? Like, who cares? Like, there are people out there dying in the streets, and why on earth am I worrying about this stuff? And it really put into perspective my own petty issues and the real issues in the world. And of course, like, the number one thing that really taught me to appreciate what I do have in life is when I got all my stuff stolen, well, pretty much all my valuable stuff stolen, because I was silly enough to put my MacBook, my 2 cameras, so my DSLR and my vlogging camera as well, and my hard drive in my hand luggage bag. And I decided, because this was like an hour before I had to go to the airport, that I would just carry it along with me. And then I decided to leave it in the boot of the rental car that the person I was with was driving. So I left it in there, and I thought, you know what, windows are tinted and it's in a very high traffic area, lots of people walking around, surely no one's gonna try and steal my stuff. And of course, when we come back like an hour later, the back window has been smashed and my bag has been stolen. And for probably a couple of minutes of finding out that's what had happened, my heart stopped, and I pretty much thought, okay, well, that's the end of the world. Great, I've lost all my valuable stuff. I've lost over $2,000 worth of stuff. All my photos, all my footage of the trip is gone. All the files I had ever had in my whole life, like saved on that terabyte hard drive, was gone, because yes, I am again not a very bright person, and I didn't back any of that stuff up, because why would you when you can just get everything stolen and, you know, just have a miserable time? But yes, that was only for a few minutes, and then my whole outlook just changed like that, because the person I was with, this person I had met like a couple of days prior, they were beside themselves. Like, they were stressing over the stuff being stolen because they were so upset for me. They didn't like, I mean, the first thing that came out of their mouth instead wasn't like, oh my gosh, the rental car, what am I gonna do? Their first thing was, oh my gosh, like, this has ruined your trip. I don't want this to have ruined your trip. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, why? Like, I'm so sorry this has happened. And I thought, this person who I've only known for a couple of days, who was just so kind to me the whole time, he was just this lovely person that has had something bad happen to them, but instead of worrying about that, they were worrying about me. And then in that split second, I thought, I am just so lucky. I am so lucky to be surrounded by people like this. And I'm so lucky to have just met this person who clearly cares so much about me, to be so emotionally involved in my suffering. My attachment to all of those things just went away. And then I thought, you know, I don't want to have to leave this person. I want to spend as much time as I can with them. So first they drove me to the hotel, we picked up the rest of my luggage, then they drove me to the airport, then they sat with me at the airport until the very last moment where I definitely could not stay any longer, and we just sat there and we talked, and my heart just felt so full, and I just felt so blessed and so lucky. And as douchey as this sounds, like, I just felt like this was an amazing life lesson for me. Pretty much like life threw at me like two things. It threw at me material possessions, and it threw at me emotional wealth, and it pretty much said, you pick which one means more to you. At this very moment, you have to pick. And I picked. And it was just amazing. Obviously, it was sad for me to have lost my footage and my memories and all of that. And, you know, it's a big pain in the ass to have to save up money and call up my insurance company and figure out if I can get my stuff back. But that is nothing compared to the happiness I have for the people I've met through this whole trip, for that special person I met in San Fran. Just the happiness of it all. I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy. That's really all I can say about it. And like, for those of you who may have gone through something similar, like, this is another way of looking at it, of having like a lot of valuables stolen and taken away from you. Like, of course, at first you feel bitter and angry and sort of like, why me? But then you think, that person who took it, the thief, like the person who stole that stuff, really, I guess they are more in need of it than I am. Like the thing that I try to think about is, the person that stole my stuff clearly was in need of it more than I was, in some way or another. You know, either they were hyped up on drugs and they didn't know what they were doing, and they needed my stuff to sell to get money. Even if that money is for something I don't agree with, this poor person is dealing with something that not many people understand. Like, drug addictions are more complex than most people think. It's not just that people choose to be addicted to drugs. Sometimes it's just circumstances. That's how it happens. And in that way, they do need the money more than me. They do need my stuff more than me. And in another way, it could have been someone who was just desperately needed money to get by. It could have been a homeless person who just, because of circumstances outside of their control, they've come into a situation where they can't afford things, and maybe they even have children, maybe they need the money for food, I don't know. And it's not my place to be angry and bitter about it and, you know, try and put the blame on someone. Like, yes, it's a sad situation of things, but these things happen for a reason. And in the end, it's only material possessions. They can be replaced. Even if you have to work hard and earn more money again to do it, they can still be replaced. Whereas a life, whereas a relationship, whereas emotions, like these sort of things, you can't just go to a store and get more. Like, that's it. What you're given is, that's all, and you can't really replace it. So yeah, that was a pretty big lesson that I learned. I feel like that sort of outlook on life, where I realize like what the most important things are, which is like kindness and love and healthy relationships with people, and just the people you know in your life, those sort of things. That's when things started changing for me, even after I came home. I guess one of the most amazing things, I guess, that happened was, like, I did become quite close with the people at one of the companies I visited over in San Fran. It was a startup company that's actually become quite successful now. They're called Rise Smart. Yeah, I became really close, especially with the host that supported me during the day when I was there. She was just the most loveliest person. As well as the rest of the team that I met, including the CEO. Like, everyone was just amazing and so kind and so genuine about getting to know me. And, you know, my host was constantly keeping in touch with me. And then when I got home, I just, you know, updated her on what had happened and, you know, how my stuff had gotten stolen. And she replied saying, you know, she was actually genuinely so shocked about it and so upset. And she even spoke to the CEO, and they said they would be really happy to actually just donate towards my cause and support me and help me replace some of my stuff. And I just got so emotional actually reading it, because I thought, these people, like, they've only known me a couple of days as well, and they already are going out of their way to help me financially because of this thing that had happened to me. And I just felt so much love and so much good energy towards these people, and I just was so thankful for the fact that, you know, these people had come into my life. And, you know, I still keep in touch with all of these wonderful people that I met throughout the trip, but especially with the people at Rise Smart, because I found that out of all the companies I went to, being a small startup company, the culture there was quite, you know, personal and genuine, and they really were a close-knit team, and I felt like I was pretty much just being invited into a new group of friends. They were just so welcoming and so lovely and so kind, and yeah, and I feel like I wanted to add that story to this video because I just wanted to show how, you know, sometimes when you do change your outlook on life and see things from a different perspective and be more open to what lessons life is trying to teach you rather than going against it and feeling bitter and angry all the time, like, good things come to you, good things happen. Not to say that it completely stops you from having bad things happening to you, but I mean, you just see it in a different way and suddenly you become more open to good things happening. And yeah, that's probably another really great thing I learned during my time away. So yeah, that was my video on what I learnt during my month away from home, traveling by myself. It was a big learning curve for me. I know some of these things some of you have learnt way earlier in life. I'm a bit of a late bloomer and you know, I'm just a bit slow when it comes to growing up. And I know some of you are yet to learn these things. So I hope that me sharing these experiences with you will sort of open your eyes to what's to come as you grow older or as you move on through life. But yeah, let me know if you've traveled yourself and have experienced many life lessons for yourself. Feel free to share them. I'd love to know what you have learned. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave comments with constructive criticism. I'm always happy to hear your thoughts and ways on how I can improve, or even if you just liked the video, you can just leave some words of encouragement. And yeah, if you want to see more videos, I promise I will be more frequent from now on. Now that I'm slowly starting to replace all my stuff again, I can start posting more stuff. So yeah, if you want to see more stuff, then please subscribe, and I will see you next week, hopefully. Bye.